Hi guys, welcome to Meltham Golf Club in Yorkshire. We're here with Titleist today. We're going through some fitting, focusing on the new 818 hybrids. I've got Nick, the fitter, with me here. Nick, just before we get stuck into it, just tell me some of the things that you see when it comes to fitting, particularly in that top end of the bag, long irons, hybrids. Do you see that better players favour long irons, not so good players into hybrids?
I mean, it varies player to player really. It's the set makeup in a golf bag is something that's really needs to be looked at these days in terms of the technology we can offer in terms of design and head etc. So, maybe I'll position it on one player is on one bracket of iron or hybrid. It's finding the best piece of equipment for that golfer and his needs and what he wants out of that product. So.
Obviously 818 hybrids, we've got some options, haven't we? We've got the H1, we've got the H2, we've also got SureFit CG. So in terms of getting the right head, you can then, adjust it with the hosel and the CG as well. How useful is that for you as a fitter?
So as a fitter, obviously the SureFit hosel does us great, so we can really fine tune the ball flight in terms of do we need a little bit more lock, and do we need to straighten out the ball flight a little bit. But with what we've seen in 917 in the driver and fairway, with that adjustability as an extra tool in terms of finding and fine-tune the ball flight even more, with what I've seen the last few weeks in fitting for 818, it's offering extra, even more workability within the golf club itself. So it's definitely a good tool to use.
Good stuff. Well, we've got two sort of test subject lined up today. We've got Sam, who's a member, plays off 8, and we've got the pro here, Simon. So it's going to be really interesting to see, whether or not the sort of the handicap golfer, if you like, is getting more help from the hybrids, and whether or not the pro will go in more maybe into some of the longer irons or maybe the TMBs. So let's get them hitting some shots, and we'll come back and let you know how they get on.
It was much smoother, it felt a lot nicer, and it built confidence really. It just looked nice as it sat behind the ball, and swinging was just much better.
Got the TMB first. I like the look of that. A little bit more forgiving. Certainly felt a little bit more solid in the head, and also the AP3, the brand new AP3. Tried both of those. Both felt very good. The AP3 just performed a lot more consistently, giving me a better ball flight and certainly more consistent distance. A little bit lower and less spin, which is really good.
Okay, so a good little hitting session there for our two testers, Sam and Simon. Starting with Sam, interesting makeup, wasn't it, in the bag, where he went up to the 4-iron and then straight into the 5-wood. Yeah. Just tell us a little bit about how your fitting went and what you got him trying, and to try and just kind of get him a little bit more out of his bag.
Yep. So kind of in any of this time, in terms of fitting, when we look at it in terms of longer irons, is that we'll always kind of have a bit of a chat with the player to see kind of what goes on in the bag and what kind of clubs he's using for those certain shots. So Sam kind of says to me he's got a 5 and 4 iron in his ping set. 5 iron is something he feels very confident with. 4 iron was a club that he'd use if he needed to use it. So what we looked for then was basically we've got some numbers to see how the 5 iron, see how the 4 iron was performing, but then also to see how his next club, his 5-wood, was working, just to see what kind of yards we were getting and where we'd look at where maybe if a hybrid was to suit in the bag. What was quite interesting to see was that the 5 iron, when we hit Sam's 5 iron, we got some really good numbers in there, averaging around 155 yards. What was quite interesting in terms of, and it's not just a case of what we see with Sam, but with a lot of golfers, is that when we caught the 4 iron in his hands, the performance was very similar, and he actually hit it only 3 yards longer than his actual 5 iron. So, in terms of, it can be a number of reasons why, but there's clearly no point of having two clubs that are doing the same thing. His 5-wood, however, went a little bit further, so there was almost a 20-yard gap difference in yardage, so it made sense for us to kind of find a gap there, or a golf club that was going to give us that good gap in yardage and the level of consistency of what he's going to use within a hybrid. So what we ended up looking for was, we kind of looked at maybe an iron, but realistically a hybrid is going to be more realistic.
And the interesting thing with Sam was obviously we've got the H1 and we've got the H2.
Yeah.
Sam hit the ball very high with his irons, didn't he? And you really wanted to get that ball flight down a little bit. And was it the H2 was just giving him that flatter flight?
Yeah, so straight away in terms of a fitting perspective, in terms of having different clubs and different designs in clubs there, is, you know, straight away in terms of the fit, everything that he described he'd wanted out of a hybrid. You know, we didn't really look too much into H1. We knew the H2 was going to give him the kind of ball flight that he was looking for, and it was really trying to find out what kind of loft increment and what kind of shaft and hosel and CG makeup was going to give him the best performance.
And just looking at the numbers there, what you actually ended up with, where you got his 5-iron numbers there, and then you got his 5-wood numbers there, and you were able to just get some nice numbers right in the middle, didn't you?
Exactly. So before we even hit a golf shot, you know, we said to Sam, if we can get you a golf club that's going to go in 165 yards to get that 10 yardage, that's what we want. And straight away, the first few hits we got, the club was going that yardage. So straight away we went with a 21-degree hybrid, which was giving him a really good gap in terms of distance. We're then looking at really fine-tuning the ball flight and the consistency of the golf shot in terms of shaft profile, and definitely then looking into the hosel and soffit CG makeup within the actual hybrid itself.
Yeah, so in Sam's bag then he went for his 5-iron, 21-degree hybrid, and then into the 5-wood, and that was working great. I mean, Simon, pro, different type of player, wasn't he? I mean, a lot more club head speed. And do you find that when you've got a player that's got just that more speed, that you're thinking maybe more long iron and TMB as opposed to hybrid?
Yes and no. And again, it always comes back to what that player wants specifically that club to do. So, you know, in Simon's bag, he had a 4-iron CB, then a hybrid in the bag. He said that he likes to have a lot of workability in that. Sometimes a better player likes to have that kind of iron look and design to give him that playability. So again, very similar thing that we did with Sam. We had a bit of a chat to what the clubs are being used. We got him on the track man, hitting the golf balls just to kind of see what a ball flight we were getting, what numbers we were seeing, and then having a chat to see where we go from there.
So just tell us a little bit about the options that he tried in trying to find something that he was just a little bit happy with. He had the CB 4-iron, and I think he just maybe wanted something that was a little bit more consistent, maybe a little bit user-friendly as well.
Yeah, definitely. So the key thing he was looking for, and straight away, and I think a lot of guys are seeing TMB with the likes of guys using it out on tour. Everyone wants to kind of have a go of it, definitely. So one thing we had a bit of a chat with before we looked into the side of it, he said he wanted to have a go at TMB. But obviously we've got a few different iron options in the range there. So we gave TMB a go. Saw some interesting numbers. You know, the first shot he absolutely flushed it, but then kind of repeatability of that, was it giving him the maximum performance in it? We had a look, but maybe not quite where we wanted to see, and that's when we brought AP3 into the bag.
Yeah, so you'd be looking to maybe switch out the CB, like a lot of tour players do. You do see mixed sets, you know, people like Ian Poulter, Bernd Wiesberger, you know, switching that AP3 and, you know, for like a 4-iron replacement. So that was working with him, and he also then had a little tryout, didn't he, with putting his 818 hybrid up against, his 816 hybrid up against the new 816, and he was just seeing a little bit better performance there as well, wasn't he?
A big thing was, obviously we're looking at all the conditions and everything, but a big thing that we did see, it wasn't maybe flying it the way he wanted to see. So again, we looked at H2, the kind of profile that he likes, the flight that he wanted to see, and what we found with the 818 was a little bit more ball speed, a bit more consistency, and better flighted, and a little bit more, 7 yards more. Bit more distance, which then kind of bridged the gap a little bit far from his 4 and the hybrid. So that's when we again looked at maybe an AP3 3-iron to kind of bridge the gap. And what you'll see from the numbers when they come up on screen, obviously you'll see the differences in where we saw that a really nice bridging of gapping of distance and consistency as well, which is obviously key.
Yeah. So would you, if you were doing, you know, if he was a tour player and you were working with him on a tour truck and you were putting his ideal bag together, would you be going with the AP3 4 and then the AP3 2 as well, as opposed to the hybrid?
Yeah, I mean, obviously in terms of what Simon kind of says is, obviously some players have maybe a hybrid in one for a certain golf course and then maybe an iron. He said he'll always keep that hybrid in play because we found him a little bit more yardage with the hybrid. That kind of left a bit of a gap there. So, you know, it's definitely looking at a situation where an AP3 3-iron could definitely be put in the bag there to bridge the gap. But then that also gives him different variations in shot shapes, you know, kind of what he wants that certain iron to do. So it's definitely where we've maybe looked AP3, 4 and 3-iron and then the hybrid to put in the bag there.
Well, I think it's shown really that, you know, within the sort of Titleist range this year, there's loads of options, whether or not hybrids are for you or whether or not long irons are going to work for you, whether it be TMB. There's loads of places to go, and I think the the key thing we're taking away from here is really that, you know, as a player, you really need to work, you know, with the fitter, don't you, just to try out all these options, get your gapping absolutely spot on. It's there's just no chance you're going to be able to do that by just picking stuff off of the shelf, is there?
No, custom fitting is by far, and you know, we do these days all over the place, and it's, you know, it's a key area in terms of improving your golf. You know, custom fitting it makes a massive difference to your game, so especially on the longer side.
Cool. Well, you've heard it there. Get yourself booked in. We're off for a cup of tea in the clubhouse because we're absolutely freezing. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.